Buenos dias a todos, and good morning wherever you are in the world. I had just finished an Instagram live, I guess interview, you could call it, conversation, open talk with Dimo from Your White Moments in Athens, Greece. And so I figured I would, since I have my lighting set up already from that call, I thought I would record a separate video now just of myself speaking to you. I'm not sure where this talk is going to go, but there's a lot on my mind that after the interview, there's a lot going through my head, and I just want to spit out some of the thoughts that I had afterwards. I'm going to treat this as a kind of public solo debrief from that interview, just to give a little more context and nuance to what we had talked about. I want to touch on the topic of passion and holding on to it as you continue to progress in your career, whatever path that is. I can only speak on behalf, or not even on behalf, but I can only speak from the experience as a wedding filmmaker. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Aaron Daniel. I'm a wedding filmmaker based in Canada, between Ontario and Quebec mostly, but I'm not unfamiliar with the rest of the world as well, sometimes doing destination work. And so I get to also see a lot of the ways that love is portrayed in different countries, along with being a guest judge panelist for different international wedding film competitions. And so on the topic of passion and holding on to it, it's such a big topic that not only us as wedding videographers, filmmakers, cinematographers can relate to, but I think anyone in any industry can also relate to this, especially if you are your own self-employed, if you want to call it that, or CEO of whatever organization that you're in, whether or not you founded it yourself or if you're taking it on from another previous owner. The trick I find after doing this for over 11 years now, the real struggle that I think veterans or the seasoned people need to latch onto or really tackle day to day, more day to day than previous years, is holding on to what really fired us up in the first place. The things that really excited us to wake up in the morning and get things done. A lot of entrepreneurial stories, when you read or watch biopics on Steve Jobs, for example, the Musks, the Bezos, the Gates, even public figures too. They could be authors, celebrities, musicians, artists. Any form of creation that you bring into the world starts to fizzle out the longer you do it. At least from my understanding and experience myself, from reading, watching, and listening to other creativepreneurs, the struggle is not so much the building, but the maintaining and taking it higher to where you want to be. Let me try to reword that. As we progress in our career paths, the harder it is to stay on that career path, because we might see clearer paths to go in other directions. One of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason to failing, if you want to call it that, the failing in reaching whatever aspirations, goals, intentions that you have, the number one reason for not reaching that, for not making it to that peak, is because you found a path that's clearer, but in a different direction. And so the passions that we had pointing us up on this side of the mountain, we might find another path that looks clear facing this side of the mountain. The idea of falling down to the level that is easier may or may not be beneficial. I'm here to say that you stay the path that you're on if you want to keep on this career path, but know that it's going to be tough to keep your guardrails from letting you fall off that path. The real battle as you continue on whatever creative mission that you're on is staying on that path, because the environment changes, the people change, what we see and what we believe changes as we walk up that mountain. But I think that if you truly know where your peak is, where you know you can be. The hard part is staying on that and not being distracted by an easier and clearer pathway to somewhere else. And so let me try to talk about how we can implement this into our practice on a day-to-day basis. I think the passion for the video craft in particular can be honed or held on to just by watching other people, just by being inspired by other people who still have that flame. And it's really weird to say, but I'm inspired by the people that are also inspired. I don't want to be around people that have no drive or different drives than I have or want to hold on to, you know? So that cliche of you being the 5 people you're closest with, you're the average of those 5 people. I think that quote was actually untrue or meddled with, because the original quote was something else, or the facts were something else. I would urge you to stick around the people that are inspired. It could be inspiration in any other field, like music, like coding, like architecture. It could be any other industry. As long as they are inspired, stick to those people. Don't hang around those that are already at their peak, because if they're already there, you have no incentive to keep moving, you know? Holding on to that passion by being around people that are inspired. Ideally, it would be around people that are also doing the things that you're doing. So for me, wedding videographers, it's hard finding a community or staying driven when I don't see work that inspires me or people that inspire me. And so I make it a job in itself, a duty, a task every year to go out into the world, to meet new wedding filmmakers, to see how things are in different countries, in different continents. 2 months ago, I was in Malaysia, not for a wedding, but for a finance event, and I was shooting it. And so I got to see how other people, the cameramen there, were shooting. And Thifian, if you're watching this, I hope we stay in touch, man. But in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, it was very inspiring to see all those people at that event, inspired by a totally different industry of finance and investing. I have no background or experience in that, but simply being around those that are on fire, this is cliche to say, but you'll catch on fire too. If you're in the kitchen, you're going to be cooking. And put yourself in those environments where you can put together a meal that can satisfy you in the most deep of levels. You can call it soul food in this analogy. Create something soulful, and the things that keep you on this path up the mountain will imbue more soul into you than you ever thought imaginable. So that's my first thing, sticking around the people and places that are on fire. The next thing that I think would be beneficial to practice in your day-to-day artistic endeavors is practicing yourself. Not just relying on the environment and other people to inspire you, but being inspired by yourself. This comes at another level. And this is only something that can be practiced by yourself alone. Don't be afraid to walk away from your phone, as cliche as that is to say right now. Everyone is trying to reinvigorate a more minimalistic lifestyle to things, a more laid back, traditional, against the hustle culture grind. You could say the progression is against it, but it will still be there. The hustle culture will still be there. But the benefit now is that people are seeing that there's also upside to the opposite of hustle culture. Cozy creators, comfy creators. I forget the term for it, but the opposite of the hustle bro social media influencer is the comfy creator, I think it's called. Look into it. I fell into it when I moved into my house here 2.5 years ago. I live in the mountains, the forested mountains of Quebec, just north of Ottawa, alone. And it's really let me learn more about who I am as a person, as an artist, as a growing individual into whatever person I think I want to become. And for you, the same thing. Don't be afraid to go outside by yourself. At time of recording, it's November 6th, I think. 6th or 7th, I don't know. Anyway, it's getting cold now in Canada, and I still really want to go outside. It was -5 degrees Celsius last night, and even though my fingers could freeze off, I really enjoy being outside, or at least on my balcony, and just letting my ears ring from the silence. Let it ring from inside you then and outside you when you have the chance. Because a lot of the times when we're looking for inspiration or a voice to guide us, that voice is already inside of us. That was so cheesy to say. A lot of the times we already instinctively understand what we need to do and what we need to become or change into and take in and learn more about and push forward in. Sometimes we don't need an environment. We need ourselves. We need to trust the things inside of us. And I think I'll cut it there. I'll cut this video here. When you are decades into your career, and I can only say this now because I've just touched the 1 decade mark of 11 years. When you reach that first decade at least, just know that it won't be the same as the beginning when you had that drive to get up at 4 a.m. just to make portfolio, just to experiment, just to create something that you think you might not be able to because you find it as a challenge. Maybe it's a marker of being 30. I turned 32 2 months ago. And things change in your life stages and business stages. The longer things go on, the narrower the path is that you need to be really holding on to in order to reach a specific spot. Again, to call back to the beginning analogy that I had, sometimes there's a clearer path to somewhere else. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's worth exploring, but other times you may come to understand it as a distraction. And so I invite you to really stick around the people that inspire you while at the same time listening to yourself and inspire yourself to either stay or change directions on the path that you're currently on. I had given a talk in Vancouver about the different styles of wedding filmmaking and the different ways to approach directing, shooting, editing. And what I had said was that to reach the very top of the mountain, there are 360 different ways to do so. And it's up to you to decide which path, which angle makes the most sense for you. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope some of this made sense and some of this inspired you. But don't be afraid to let yourself sit alone and be inspired by your echo chamber of things that you know to be true about yourself already. Anyway, have a good day, guys. Take care.